Good evening. It is Thursday, March 23rd, 2023 at 6 p.m. We are at the District Service Center in Cottage Grove, Minnesota. We would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the land of the Minnewakanton Dakota people. Minnewakanton means dwellers of the Spirit Lake. Our first item on the agenda is our roll call. Dana, will you call the roll?
Eric Tessmer.
Here.
Louise Hines.
Here.
Pat Driscoll.
Here.
Melinda Doles.
Here.
Katie Schwartz.
Here.
Simi Petnaik.
Here.
Sharon Van Leer.
Here.
Helen Mabou.
Here.
Amelia Reckinger.
Here.
Next, please rise for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is 3.0, the approval of our agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Louise and seconded by Melinda. All those who approve?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. The next item on our agenda is 4.0, and that is this evening our student district ambassadors, and they will be presented this evening by our superintendent, Julie Nielsen.
Thank you. It is always a great day when we have kids at district office. It was about 8 hours ago. We had the whole space filled with our students. They left cookie crumbs and some pizza crumbs when they were done, but nonetheless, we had a very engaging morning. This evening, we have with us Helen Mbu and Amelia Reckinger. And I told the two, it's always nerve-wracking to be up in front, and then you kind of look up and you see your picture up there, and wow, what's happening? You can settle in a little bit. And so I shared with Helen that I would ask some questions, and she would be able to answer, and then when it's Amelia's turn, she would just go off on her own as a high school student. So Helen, just to start with, do you want to share with the group what grade you're in and what school you go to?
I'm in 5th grade, and I go to Great Cloud Elementary School.
And today, can you share with the group what you enjoy most about being a student ambassador?
Well, like sometimes when we do like the student ambassador stuff, we talk about like some stuff that we might like change in the words that we do, and we also like talk about the stuff that like should be better for our like school and like the district.
Mm-hmm. And Helen, do you have opportunities when we come together to interact with the middle school students and high school students?
Yes, I do.
And how did we start out our meeting today?
Well,
with our welcome and inclusion activity. Do you remember what our welcome and inclusion activity was?
We went in groups and we talked about like some stuff that we can't like live about. We can't like one thing from like our childhood and like kind of stuff about like fun facts about us.
You didn't share the most important part about how you got to the questions, and Miss Amelia was one of the leaders. How did you get to which question you were going to ask? What did you have? A bag of what?
A bag of M&Ms.
So they were given a small bag of M&Ms, and of course that opened their eyes, and then in their teams, they picked out one M&M, and the M&M led to sharing something with their group. And then when we got done, they all tried to summarize things that they had learned about each other. Today, Helen, we talked about our strategic plan, and what was one piece of feedback that you heard in your group that was discussed that you would share with the board members? Because remember I said that this is the group that will actually be approving the mission, vision, and core values. What was one thing you would share?
Well, she said that like she can't live without her shoe collection.
Oh, okay, that was about our welcome and inclusion activity, right? She said she couldn't live without her shoe collection. We're moving on to the strategic plan. So remember when we talked about the strategic plan? What would you tell the board in terms of feedback?
So like some words, like kids can't understand them. Like I can, but like most kids can't really.
Mm-hmm. Can you think of one of the words that we talked about today that was part of either the mission, vision, or core values that kids were like, especially elementary kids, weren't sure about? Can you think of a word? Oh, Amelia has your sheet there. What was the word?
Equitable?
Yeah, equitable. Equitable. So in our students' eyes, when they looked at and read the mission, vision, and core values, some of the words were, from their perspective, not in kid language. Even the word integrity came up. And, you know, one of the students said, well, why wouldn't we just say care, like caring for each other? So we have a lot of feedback that our students gathered today and wrote down with team leaders that we will be bringing back and sharing with the board. Next, we took a tour of district office. What did you learn about district office?
There's like lots of people behind all the stuff that like happens at our school or in the district, and like I found out like how much money they put into like the whole school, like the whole district, and they have like lots of candy.
Yeah. That was all set up. But they got to go through the print center, and we took a look at how many copies were printed every month. You know, 0.015 cents, what does that equate to? We talked about $900,000 being spent on snow blowing and snow removal, and so lots of great information. And the last question before we turn it over to Amelia is, what do you enjoy most about being a student at Great Cloud?
Well, one thing I enjoy about being a student in Great Cloud is that like kind of like what we work for is like what something we get is good. So like today, this whole month we've been like reading a lot, and now we got to like pie Miss Lushik in the face.
So it's the wrap up to I Love to Read month, and they got to pie their principal in the face. And so they worked hard to get reading minutes, and then they had a celebration at the end. So thank you, Helen. Amelia, you get to follow that act. Amelia, do you want to go ahead and start out by introducing yourself and then just talking a little bit about school, our district ambassadors, and any other information you want to share?
Yes, my name's Amelia Reckinger. I go to Park High School, and I'm part of the Park Youth Ambassadors. And what we discuss there is, what we've been discussing lately is a lot of the roles and responsibilities of the staff, parents, teachers, admin, and the community that doesn't attend the school, but still is involved. We have been working to understand what each group should be doing so that our school is the best that it can be. And we also have been making our own vision and mission statement outside of just using the district's one. And we worked with the staff to create that. For our vision is that Park scholars will graduate with the knowledge and skills necessary to thrive in an increasingly global and diverse community. And with our mission statement, our mission is to create a culturally rich community where we will all learn and grow together through diverse opportunities that foster culturally competent communication, collaboration, and critical thinking that enhance post-secondary readiness and contributions to the local and global communities. And we've been working on that for a few months now, but at our meeting today with the district, we all brought our views to what we've been working on to the district, and we also worked to make the district's strategic plan, as Helen said, more approachable and carry more value, because once it's understandable, it helps bring more value. Sorry. It creates more value when you can understand what it's saying. So with the mission statement, providing an equitable and inclusive learning environment that empowers each student, we switched around words like equitable, empower, and we also thought of things we could add, like safety and instead of the word empower, we used support, and then instead of equitable, we used fair. So we changed it to providing a fair, safe, and inclusive learning environment that supports each student. And with our vision, with the district's vision to be a school district where students, staffs, families, and communities partner to build quality relationships and promote student success, our group worked and created to be a school district where students, staff, families, and community work together to build relationships and support student success. We also talked what it meant, the difference between equity and equality. And address the different groups that are involved in the district, because we weren't quite sure what community meant until we thought about it. And so we thought not everyone's going to think that as hard as we did about what it actually meant. They're just going to read it. So that's a little bit of what we worked on there. And then some other things we worked on were the core values and definitions of those core values of relationships, integrity, equity, excellence, and educational innovation. One value that really stood out to a lot of people was the educational innovation, which is educating students through new ideas and methods that increase student engagement and encourage creativity, critical thinking, and collaboration. When I read that, I don't really know what educational innovation means. I'm sure other people do, but I had no idea. And many of the people I worked with felt like there should be another name for it, and we just thought of teamwork. We felt it was more approachable and understandable because educational innovation is a little intimidating to me. And we also talked about, other groups brought up really good points about teamwork, educational innovation. It's always changing, as students are always changing, and our world is always changing. And so that's something that would have to be redefined a lot. And also, we felt like what could we do to innovate educationally, I guess. We all remember when we were in elementary school, middle school, and we had the older kids come down, and I'm sure Helen felt the same way when the high schoolers are at the district meetings. Everybody kind of just looks up to older kids, and we felt like part of the educational innovation could be including older kids in younger kids' lives as they look up to them, and they're a little bit more approachable than the big teacher that tells them what to do every day. So we want to bring students more into leadership positions, and that also teaches the older kids to be more independent and realize that they have purpose, and what they do can actually matter in somebody's life.
Amelia, I know you had a quote from Felipe today. Was that quote connected to that, what Felipe shared?
Yes,
okay.
Pretty much. I tried to summarize as best as I could what Felipe said. It was really good.
Did you want to share what that was? I think he said something like, there's power in kids teaching kids, but something along those lines of a little bit of adults maybe stay out of the way. And if we had kids, similar to some of the things that we do in AVID when we have the tutorials and kids are working with kids and teaching, it forces whoever's being the teacher to know the information and then to share it with others. Amelia, I know that you are a student leader at Park. Do you want to just share with the board other things that you're engaged with at Park High School? Clubs, activities, athletics?
Yeah, so I am the publicist for National Honor Society. I've been in National Honor Society. This is my second year. I've been in student council, yearbook, link crew, and then I play tennis in the fall, and then I manage hockey and baseball for the rest of the year. My favorite part of being in Park is the fact that I know all my teachers. I mean, I think that's a little easier for me than some other people with my grandpa, but
Maybe they know her because of Grandpa, right?
yeah. But I've also It's been a really great place to just make really good relationships with teachers and staffs. And I feel like everyone kind of knows each other, and it's fun to be involved once you're there.
And thank you. So we are really fortunate to have such incredible older leaders from our high schools come in. And I know Helen would agree, but they watch our 6 or 8 high school students wherever they go. And so we use every opportunity to have mixed opportunities for those conversations. And so the board will get a summary of the feedback from all of our groups today. This was just a little bit of a snippet. But I would say overall, the resounding feedback was kid words and not adult words. And so we just, as we move that information forward to the board, we want to make sure that our mission, vision, and core values may not look like other districts. It's not a professional polish. Rather, these are words and statements that our students can relate to, and they know what it means. So thank you. I don't know if there are any questions from the board for our 2 students, but thank you to Amelia and Helen.
Any questions from the board? Well, thank you. It was a pleasure. And you know, you are our future, so you get ready to take over. So we're preparing you to be those leaders that you're going to be. You probably take over now. Your parents are out there. So thank you. All right. Next item on our agenda is 5.0, comments to the board. At this time, individuals You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, for everyone, for speaking tonight. We're going to move along to, excuse me, 6.0, our consent agenda items, be presented this evening by
Sorry,
Simi.
it's fine. Next is 6.0 consent items. All consent items are considered routine and non-controversial by the school board and will be approved by a single motion. Prior to this meeting, board members have had the opportunity to review each of these items and could have requested that any item be moved to the action items for individual consideration. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Eric, second by Katie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Abstain.
Thank you very much.
Next is 7.0 information items. These items will moved, have been moved tonight to the next meeting. Moving on to 8.0, and these are our action items. 8.1 is the Native American Parent Advisory presentation that will be given this evening by Kelly Jensen, our Assistant Superintendent, and James McGee, Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
Yeah, all right. Good evening, Board Chair Van Leer, board members, student ambassadors, and Superintendent Nielsen. I'm here this evening to introduce James McGee, our Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. I told him every time I say Ms. McGee, I think of Mr. Magoo, so that's why I was laughing. The purpose of our report is to acknowledge the concurrent vote by our Native American Parent Advisory Committee. This vote requires no action other than acknowledgement from the board because the committee voted in concurrence, meaning they believe we are in compliance with state law in meeting the needs of our Native American students. There would have been necessary board action if they would have had a non-concurrent vote. This process is required so that we can continue to receive state funding that is specifically meant to support the academic achievement of Native American students. We are eligible for this funding because we have more than 20 students who self-identify as Native American. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. McGee to talk about the programs and activities that support that concurrence vote.
All right, so by statute, we are, any district in the state of Minnesota with more than 10 students who self-identify as Native American is required to have a Native American Parent Advisory Committee. That Parent Advisory Committee is also one of the committees that gives input and must give input by statute on the Achievement and Integration Plan. So we've been in constant communication. That's one of the parent advisories that DEI oversees as a whole. And they are the ones that gave us the concurrent vote based on our activities and progress toward goals for our Native American students. Our staff representative for the school district is Brittany Amatrano. She is also a cultural liaison. She works with students at Park High School, and she also is our liaison when there are situations that require a Native American presence or representation to represent both families and students in schools. That could be in the form of IEP meetings or in cultural events. Brittany is the one who organizes our events for Native American programming. I put these out of order a little bit. I apologize for that. So as Ms. Jansen said, because we have more than 20 students who self-identify as Native American in our district, we are eligible for state funding that is meant to provide additional programming and support for the academic and cultural achievement and learning of our Native American students, as well as the rest of our families in the district that can participate in these cultural learning activities. The vote by the Native American Parent Advisory was concurrent. They agreed that we are meeting the goals and using the money wisely that we've been entrusted with. The Native American Parent Advisory Committee is chaired by Bob Tweedy. He's a parent in the district, and also includes members Gina Carlson, who's a parent in the district, Mika Hunter, who is our student representative. Our elder on the committee is great-grandmother Mary, and we also have LaCosta Red Bear Awad. Brittany Amatrano is, like as I said, she is our Native American cultural liaison. She also oversees the activities of the Parent Advisory Group. We continue to work very closely where they are an accountability measure. This was no easy vote. We have to prove that we're going out of our, that we're not just continuing with typical practice, that we are doing extra work to ensure that the money that we're receiving from the state is going toward extra activities. It's a supplement to what students are already receiving in schools. One of the purposes of this funding by the state is to increase academic achievement for our Native American students, to decrease dropout rates, and to improve the overall climate for Native American students and their families in the school district. We also take advantage of federal funding. We're actually in process of completing that application that's due in the springtime. And as we go through that process, we'll report any necessary action items to the board as well. So some of the things that we do with this funding, we have some pictures. I'm really excited. For the first time, we were able to have a 3-night moccasin workshop. This was open to anybody in our community and was attended primarily by our Native American families and students. Some of the other things that we do, we provide student support in terms of ACT prep and tutoring, and professional development that's available to our staff, and is also then made available to students so we can have authentic cultural learning about Native American students and the cultural experience that they've had in the United States. We are continuing to build a lending library with culturally authentic texts that is not just representative of the experience of Native American students and families, but also authored by Native American authors who too few have been published to an extent that they're read widely across school districts. And so we're excited that we have a growing library. I'm also proud, one of our accomplishments this year was our school, Eastridge High School, put our land acknowledgement that was helped developed by our elders and by our Native American Parent Advisory on the wall of Eastridge High School, accompanied by flags that represent some of the tribes that are represented in our school district. Like I said, we have the ACT tutoring and prep sessions for juniors. We also participate in the Wooden Dakota Horse Project. What we currently have running, just got up running this spring for the 3rd year in a row, is our Native American One-to-One Reading Connection Program. This is one-on-one tutoring for Native American elementary students. Over the last 2 years that we've had this program, reading levels for those students that participated grew at least 2 levels. As we are implementing a new literacy curriculum in most of our elementary schools, we'll have to adjust those measures to see if we're still making progress toward literacy goals. But the program over the last 2 years has been productive and successful, and we're excited to see it continue. Might there be any questions?
Any questions for the board?
A couple questions there, Mr. McGee. Appreciate your information. How long have we been enrolled in this or involved in this program?
I believe 7 years our district has participated in this funding opportunity through the state.
Okay. Do you know how much money we get every year?
Sorry, I don't actually have that on me. I will get that back and then I can report that out to the board.
Appreciate that. You just mentioned, one other question, you just mentioned one of the goals is to increase or decrease the dropout rate. Do you have any statistics on that? Have we been able to do that, or I guess within the district?
Because this was an acknowledgement item, I didn't bring all of those.
Okay.
That data. I can definitely go grab that and report it to the board.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep. Grab that, sure. Funding, I think this year we were approved for, 75,000 this year. And so we'll probably be in that 75 to 80,000 for next year.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And we're required to have this, the state requires us to have this program?
No, the state requires us to have a Native American Parent Advisory Committee.
Okay.
Because we have 20 or more students who self-identify as Native American, we are eligible to take advantage of this programming.
Okay. And then, so one of the things on the slide, it says that to get federal funding, students have to prove their tribal connection, right?
Yeah.
But I know that's also kind of fraught, right? And so how do we manage that?
Yep, so over the past couple of years, and I want to be very clear, and there's a difference between what the state and feds require for self-identification for Native American students. This presentation was specifically about the state funding. However, for the federal funding piece of this, in the past year, we have undergone an initiative to ensure that all of our students at the beginning of the school year have their necessary form. Rather than having students have to, and their families, go seek it out, we have it available at our enrollment nights, at our open houses, to make sure that all students who or their families identify as Native American have the opportunity to self-identify as such. Yep.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I believe they enroll in their tribe, and then they have the documentation of which tribe that they are affiliated with.
There,
Sort of.
there was, for a time, that was the only way. In past years, we've realized that some of those reporting mechanisms were not giving us an accurate depiction, and so most districts in the state actually undercounted a number of students who actually do identify as Native American because there are different tribal laws that maybe did not necessarily correspond with what the federal and then the state were saying. So this attempt over the last year has been to make it more inclusive of students and families who do identify as Native American.
Great, great job. Anyone else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, do we need a motion here? Okay. Okay. Okay, what is it? Would you like to
You can
take
either
it?
vote to not take action or you can vote to approve.
Let's take, since it's under action, let's take the vote. May I get a motion to approve, okay. I was trying to get it out. Okay, moved by Simi and second, moved by Katie and second by Simi. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, 8.2, proposed policy changes. That will be presented this evening by Superintendent Julie Nelson.
Thank you. This evening, I come back forth with the seven policies that we had the opportunity last meeting to go through and discuss, as well as these policies being reviewed by our policy committee. We have two policies in the 300 series, 302 Superintendent and 303 Superintendent Selection. Those two policies, if you look back in your notes, both had minor changes. One of those changes were per MSBA, Minnesota School Board Association. In the 400 series, we are asking for approval of 4 policies. Policy 400, policies that are incorporated by reference. For that particular policy, we removed 1 policy and added in 2 as per MSBA. 401, equal employment opportunity, there was a minor grammatical and legal change. 402, non-discrimination, disability, there was a legal reference update. And 402.2, the non-discrimination, section 504, there was 1 minor change on who to contact in that policy. And then finally, there's 1 700 series policy coming forward, 704, the development and maintenance of an inventory of fixed assets and a fixes asset accounting system. And that particular policy had legal and grammatical updates. And so this evening, I am asking for approval on those 7 policies.
Okay, can I get a motion to?
So move.
Second.
Okay, moved by Pat, second by Simi. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. 8.3 is our revised budget for 22-23. That will be presented by our Executive Director of Finance and Operations, Dan Pine.
Good evening, Chair Van Leer, members of the school board, student ambassadors, and Superintendent Nielsen. Last board meeting, we went over our revised budget. So school districts will revise their budgets annually after student counts, state and federal allocations, and labor expenses are better known than what the preliminary budget had, which was compiled in June of last year. We presented this budget to you last board meeting, highlighted the variances. This general fund budget has revenues of about $279,691,458 and expenses of $279,102,598. It leaves a surplus of about $588,000, which is a reduction in the surplus of about $1 million from the original budget. In your packet, you do have a summary of all the budgets, so tonight we'll be asking you to approve all the budgets, including general fund, food service fund, community education, construction fund, debt service fund, and internal service fund. Summaries of all those budgets are in your packet, and Tonight, we ask for you to, for a motion to approve the 2022-23 revised budget.
Thank you, Dan. Can I get a motion to approve the revised 22-23 budget?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Melinda, second by Pat. Okay. Is there any discussion or comments?
Dan, I just had one question. So the state legislature just made lunches free for all students, or they're going to fund lunches for all students. Is that going to have any effect on our food service fund or any of our other funds?
It would strictly be the food service fund that would be affected, which is enterprise fund that should balance itself. If it does lose money, then it would have to come out of the general fund. It really depends on what the reimbursement rate is. If we use the current reimbursement rate, so really what's going to happen is free lunches are reimbursed at the federal rate, about $4.80. Our reduced lunches have always been supplemented by the state, so anyone on reduced lunch gets a free lunch because we get the reduced amount from the feds and the federal government and the rest from the state. Now the state will pay all the meals, so the additional revenue will just come from those that normally pay. Or those, that may bring their lunch and now they're going to take a lunch and will get paid full for those. Whether we'll make money or not, all depends on what the reimbursement rate is, which we do not know yet. That will be determined by the federal government, by the USDA. And we generally find that out in the summer. We think, we should be okay. It kind of depends on the cost of food, cost of supplies, inflation, things like that. But it shouldn't affect our general fund, and it won't increase our revenues, it won't increase our fund balance, but I don't think it will decrease it.
I think it's that reminder, Simeon. I know at CFAC this week, there's still questions about the flowing in of dollars from nutrition services. They are completely separate funds, similar to community education. And so I think that's important just to keep that in mind when we think about that, because we do have a lot of community members asking about that and how that might impact our budget.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Next is 8.4, and that is our guiding change document for long-range facility planning, and that will be presented by Dan Pine.
I'm back. Last week, our last board meeting, we also discussed our guiding change document for our long-range facility planning process. Just as a reminder, after the election last August, August of 2022, our bond referendum failed, that we asked for $463 million to make improvements to almost every school. After that, we sought input from the community, and we held 8 community listening sessions. We also commissioned a new demographic study. We also had a community survey done. And with that, to guide our way through the next process, with that information we have, we also developed a new guiding change document. It's in your packet. I will not go over it in detail, mainly because we did that at the last board meeting. But if you had a chance to review it and you had any other questions, we'll certainly take those questions once we get a motion to approve it and that motion gets seconded.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Can I get a motion to approve the guiding change document?
So moved.
Okay, motioned by Eric, seconded by Katie. Are there any questions or concerns, comments?
The only question I had was, in the results section, we don't have any timeline listed, and so do we want to put in something like this will be done by, this will be complete to put on the what election is, November ballot, or do we want to just say this should take this should just take the time that it takes, and then we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Or does anyone care? I mean, I was just thinking about it. I don't know if we want to just say we should have this done by November so that everyone, so that there's kind of some certainty out there for the community, or whether we just say this is going to take what this is going to take, and we'll list a date later.
I think when we did our first community meeting, some community members asked, like, when is this going? When is this happening? And so I think kind of the plan was always November, just in terms of the work. But I think just so the board, because that really is a board decision about going out for a referendum, and then the conversation about how many questions might we ask. One, what does that look like? That'll be a board decision. Of course, administration will bring forth a recommendation. And I don't know if it's something that you want in the results. I think board members and community members know the timeline of the work in terms of community meetings, what we hope to accomplish. Someone did ask us, well, it feels like it's going to be rushed. I think what we have to remember is that so much of the work in terms of taking a look at the needs in the district, taking a look at what was on the last plan, now it becomes prioritizing what was on there based on the information that we've received. We don't have to go back to square one and have conversations with schools and with departments, because we really have the needs laid out. I think the demographic study showed the schools that are going to be overcrowded in 5 years, so I think that we have a pretty good idea around priorities, and we'll be able to move through that next phase much quicker. And again, there may be things that slow us down, but I think we got some good feedback after our community meeting, as well as the other input meetings we've gotten for this first round.
To put this on the November ballot, when would the board have to approve the referendum?
Or approve the long-range facility plan.
The plan, sorry,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, the main thing would be to submit, approval to submit to MDE, Minnesota Department of Education, the review and comment. And we're looking at either last meeting in June or the meeting in July to do that. The ballot question would have to be, and I don't have it exactly, but I think it's about the meeting in August would be the approval of the ballot question.
Mm-hmm. I think that's right.
Community meeting is May.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Oh, no, just the question of, does anyone care about, putting a time in there? I'm not sure I care, but I don't know if putting something out there makes it more clear for the community, or,
When I take a look at this as guiding change, I hate to have time be one of our guiding,
yeah, no, that's it, yeah,
guiding principles.
okay.
I don't know that this is really a community it's a board document. This wasn't even shared in the presentation on.
No, the community meeting included demographics and survey information, and then asking for input around that.
Okay.
Yep.
So-
This is a document, basically, if we recall, a guiding change document serves as the guardrails for administration as we go do the work and bring a plan back.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, no, I'm
Okay.
fine.
All right. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next, thank you, Dan. Are you back again? Oh,
Yes.
you still here. Don't go. 8.5, Public Park Easement Agreement with the City of Cottage Grove. That again will be presented by Executive Director of Finance and Facilities, Dan Pine.
Thank you again, Board. Good evening. So when Oldman Middle School was designed and built, the school district land was set aside to be used by the City of Cottage Grove for athletic fields as outlined in the development agreement. City of Cottage Grove is now pursuing grants to help fund the cost of developing the property near Oldman Middle School. In your packet, there should be a map of the land we're talking about. It's kitty corner to the school, near the pond. I just wanted to say kitty corner. But it's, back in December of 2020, we had, the City of Cottage Grove came to us with a a new design on the plan. Originally, it was going to be soccer fields, I believe, and then they changed it to lacrosse fields. And the board heard that update and approved that update. Now that they're getting near to developing it, they're pursuing grants both from the state, from the DNR, and national funding. And these grants require a permanent easement to be in place between the school district and the city of Cottage Grove. So with that, we negotiated the attached permanent easement. The reason we up front to have a permanent easement in place is so these grants can be applied for and a better chance of them getting them if it's assured that that property will remain a park. Doing a permanent easement will still leave it in the school district's hands, but they have total use of that property, and they're required to maintain it also. So with that, administration recommends approval of the public park permanent easement agreement as attached.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the agreement?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Simi, second by Pat. Is there any comments, discussion?
So with this, does the school district doesn't get to use any of it first, or?
I'm sorry, yes, we have first right to use it.
Okay.
And that was, I checked back with the people that worked on this developers agreement, and the idea was that we were short of lacrosse fields and such at
Right.
Park, and that we would get first chance to use it. It's similar to our agreement when we purchased East Ridge and developed the land out. We have agreement with the city of Woodbury for those fields. They maintain them. We get first choice to use them.
Yeah, because these are soccer, football, lacrosse, correct? Or is it just lacrosse and soccer?
I think it's going to be multi-use, but it's designed that it can handle lacrosse, which apparently is, I shouldn't say apparently, is the fastest growing sport.
Yeah, that and soccer don't have space at park, so that's why I was
Yeah.
curious.
And this won't cost this doesn't cost the district anything, correct?
No.
Anyone else? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Next is 9.0, and that is our superintendent's report. Julie Nielsen.
Thank you. Just a couple of updates for the community as well as the board. You heard Simi reference the new free school meal law that will take effect next school year. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz signed the free school meal legislation on Friday, March 17th. The new law will take effect September of 2023. So for all of our summer programming, Kids Club, any classes and offerings, those groups will not be eligible until the start of the school year. Our nutrition services staff is working out the details of how lunch accounts with the remaining balance at the end of the current school year will be paid out. We know there's always a balance left, so we'll have to figure out for those that have remaining dollars how that might be paid back. For those families, of course, that were currently paying for lunches. We will begin serving these meals, and keep in mind it's breakfast and lunch, so students have the opportunity for breakfast and lunch that very first day of the 23-24 school year. And we may not have all of the answers yet, but we wait further information around that legislation. Next, transportation opt-in. Maybe just to share, as we talk about transportation, we have conversations daily about busing and transportation. We have a great group of transportation. Our bus drivers, our transportation staff work so hard to put all the pieces together, and some days we still end up short bus drivers. We are implementing a transportation opt-in. As of noon yesterday, March 22nd, we had more than 6,700 families complete the transportation opt-in form. Remember, it went out to families in a link, so it was as simple as clicking on the link and filling out the information. That number of families equaled almost 1,200 students that have already been accounted for of our little bit over 18,000 students. And so about 7,000 students left. I think for the community and for board members to know that moving forward, our communications team will be targeting the communication or targeting the messaging so that parents don't think, did I fill it out? Did they get my answers? And so now we will just go with people who haven't completed it. They will be receiving messages moving forward. And then, if need be, we will have individuals follow up with phone calls. So we're prepared to make sure that we get as accurate accounts. We shared that information with our parent ambassadors this last week, and there were some questions about why is the district doing this. And I think the board is aware that when we talk about the efficiency in our transportation department, and we have load counts that are set at 80 to 90 students riding a high school bus, and the high school bus gets to one of our high schools and there are 3 or 4 students that get off, we need to do a better job of being more efficient. With the extreme shortage in bus drivers, we have to figure out a way to route for students who really need bus transportation. So we will continue that, and we will continue to provide updates. This week, the week has gone quickly. This week we held our first community meeting around long-range facilities. The focus of that meeting was on sharing survey and demographic information. Along with that, people in attendance, we had 55 individuals attend. First of all, I think anybody who is engaging with us, that really is the goal. We want our community to engage with us. Everybody in the community should have received a postcard with those dates on so they know when to come, get updates, provide feedback. The feedback that we receive will be posted online on our long-range facility page, along with a number of FAQs. As we walked out on Tuesday, we had a parking lot area with Post-it notes, and individuals who attended were able to put questions up there. And after the meeting, we sorted through the questions, listed them all, and decided who was going to provide the answer. And so we will get those online as quickly as possible following those meetings. And then I know someone mentioned, but our next community meeting is April 25th. And so we look forward to continuing the process, sharing information. Please watch our website. And again, as we continue to say, please engage with us. This is a community decision because obviously whatever is decided in the way of questions will go out to our voters. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. And next is 10.0, and that is our future meeting date. We have a school board workshop meeting on April 6, 2023 at 6 p.m. and a business meeting on April 20th, 2023. All these meetings will be held here at the District Service Center. And finally, 11.0, we are adjourned.